Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to another Mad Meta Magic, I think this will be. And I'm your host, Kano, and this is a deck request by MixMCZ, who is a patron of mine, and he is of the particular Patreon subscription tier that he gets to request a particular deck from me every month, and this is for the month of February. It is slightly late because I had some hiccups and stuff that I had to handle right at the end of February when I was planning on doing this, but all of that aside, he wanted me to play eggs, and he actually had a different deck in mind for me to try, but this one is a list that actually 5-0'd recently in the modern format. And it took me a minute of kind of looking over this deck, trying to figure out what exactly it's supposed to be doing, and how it wins and whatnot, but after careful examination, I believe I understand this deck. And I have to, I'm sorry, I've got to have all the same Mind Stone art. That'll drive me nuts if I don't do that. And because I don't have 4 of the Iconic Masters, I believe, printing, we're going to go with the traditional brown artifact. Now, so Eggs is a list that generally you play things like Sphere, Star, and Bauble, which are small artifacts that you can sacrifice to draw a card, and you cycle through the deck very, very quickly, and you use these artifacts to generate a whole bunch of mana. And the way that you do that is by suspending cards like Lotus Bloom or reshaping into cards like Lotus Bloom off of your smaller artifacts. So if you cast Reshape for 2 mana, you can sacrifice a Chromatic Star, which will draw you a card, and then you can put a Lotus Bloom onto the battlefield untapped, which means you can immediately use it for mana like a ritual, and you can tap it for any color if you'd like. The idea being that once you start getting all of these artifacts onto the battlefield, you start drawing a whole bunch of cards with them, then you cast Faith's Reward as sort of like a mega ritual, get all of those cards back onto the battlefield, get more mana out of your Lotus Blooms, and then draw more cards, and continue drawing cards until you basically have drawn the entire deck. Now, to help with this, we have Ghost Quarter, which is a land that we can Ghost Quarter ourselves. We can then go get another basic land. It'll enter untapped. Both Ghost Quarter and the basic land go to the grave, so when we Faith's Reward, we get them both back. We have our Flooded Strands, which we do the same thing. They fetch an untapped basic. When we Faith's Reward, we get them back, because Faith's Reward is all permanents that were put into the battlefield, or put from the battlefield into the grave this turn. And we have Saga, because if you're playing this many artifacts and you kind of want, some artifact tutors, this is the way to go. And Teferi helps protect the combo. Teferi helps you make the deck deterministic, because your opponent can no longer interact on your turn because it's a fair and balanced magic card, and then you just draw your whole deck and, play everything out. Effects like Ghost Quarter and Flooded Strand are extra important because we're also playing Bolas Citadel. Now, Bolas Citadel is the win condition because of the trinket text on the bottom that is almost never relevant, and that is, you may sacrifice 10 non-land permanents, and each opponent loses 10 life. So, if we get Bolas Citadel onto the battlefield, that should be pretty close to a guaranteed win, because we can just start using our life total to play a whole bunch of stuff off the top of our deck. And then we sack 10 permanents. We can even sack Bolas Citadel itself. It does not preclude itself. It doesn't say 10 other non-land permanents. It just says 10 non-land permanents. So once we do that, we can drain our opponent for 10, Faith's Reward, get it back, and then do it again, kill our opponent. And in the average scenario. This list, as far as Eggs lists are concerned, is a lot tighter than most of the other Egg lists I've played. A lot of Eggs players will do things like they'll bring to light for Faith's Reward, they'll play all 5 colors of magic, because you need green for Veil, you need white for Silence, and Faith's Reward, you need red for Grape Shot, you need it's generally not too much of a problem to get those colors when you start going off, because you're recycling Lotus Blooms, which you can just tap for different colors every time, and you can be playing Prismatic Vista, and you can get any kind of basic you want, and that sort of thing. But one of the big problems with those lists over this one that I've noticed just from cursory examination, I haven't played this yet, is that the other Eggs versions can screw you. You can easily screw yourself, basically, if you tap for the wrong color of mana, and you have to stumble over all of the like win condition cards. So like if I get Grape Shot too early and I need another card to continue the combo, I have to either scry it to the bottom or discard it or do something else. And then I have to go really dig for it when I need it. And it may not be possible. I might just draw that expecting to draw something else and lose the game because of it. Whereas in this scenario, every single card is good during the combo, and every single card is good as you combo, which is using Bolas' Citadel to win, basically. We don't have a backup plan, other than like Urza's Saga Beatdown, which is free in a deck like this. Other than that, like, you know, I think I've stated my piece on this deck. I don't really know a lot else. I don't know a lot of the inner nuance of eggs, and I don't generally enjoy playing eggs. This version I think will be a little bit better for me because eggs is generally it's a non-deterministic deck. Like when you start to combo with eggs, there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to finish the combo. There's no guarantee that your combo is going to kill your opponent. You know, there's always the chance of fizzling. But in this deck, in this version of eggs, the combo is not as open-ended. It doesn't, you know, you can't take all these twists and turns with it that you need to know exactly when. The pilot skill for this version of the deck, from examination of the deck, appears to be lower as a requirement, which is what I need if I'm going to play eggs, because I am not a fantastic non-deterministic combo pilot. That is not what I'm good at. I am great at deterministic combo, like Ad Nauseam. When Ad Nauseam was, you know, when I used to play Ad Nauseam in Modern, I don't play the new versions of that deck. So, all of that being said, sorry for the long intro, but needed some explanation. Mix'em, thank you for the deck request. I will try and do it justice, and I will see you guys in round 1. Okay, welcome to round 1, everybody. This actually looks like a fairly decent hand. We have tons of redraws. Island Serum Visions opener seems pretty good. We already have Bolas' Citadel. I'm not sure if we're going to need to reshape for it, but there's still one in the deck if we do. Serum Visions can hopefully get us to a second land, and we don't have to sack too many of these eggs, but I think we're going to try it. It's a little bit sketchy, and like I said, I'm not really an eggs player. I don't know a ton about the deck. Lotus Bloom, let's see. Well, Mind Stone and Talisman need to go to the bottom. We'll suspend Lotus Bloom, pass the turn. Generally, if you are ever playing a deck that plays Lotus Bloom and you're playing cantrips, you always want to cast your cantrips first before you suspend your Lotus Bloom, because, like, even if it's in your opener, because you don't want your opponent to know whether or not you drew it or you planned on having it. And that doesn't matter for a lot of circumstances, but... Okay, we're going to need to start drawing some lands. I mean, we will have mana off of Lotus Bloom, so just playing out the eggs is not too bad of an idea here. Opponent plays an Urza Saga. This is looking like Yogg. I mean, it could also be like the black-green rock deck. Alright, it's looking like Asmo, or whatever it's called. The chef deck. Okay, we draw our own Saga, which is good. So, play Saga. We'll go ahead and play a Star, and play a Sphere. Then pass the turn. So now we're looking for a Faith's Reward, which thankfully we didn't scry any to the bottom, so we have a number of draws to try and find one. If I imagine the correct choice here is going to be to... We might have to play Teferi just as a stalling tactic. Other than something like Assassin's Trophy, I'm not sure there's anything that our opponent will be doing on our turn. Like, I'm more expecting them to play Interaction on the order of Thoughtseize and Fatal Push. Okay, opponent plays a Ravenous Squirrel. Okay. They can sack a treasure to make a Saga token. And if we're not careful, we could just very well be dead. So I'm really hoping we top deck a Faith's Reward. If we can get like a Faith's Reward and a Ghost Quarter here, that'd be great. We get a Mind Stone. Saga gains its second ability. Actually, I should not be auto-yielded to that. Okay, so... Let's go ahead and sack Star. We got to start drawing, because otherwise we're going to be dead in a hurry. Okay, Flooded Strand is good. If I play out Flooded Strand, I can then play Bolas' Citadel. Let's draw another card. Okay, we did get Fate's Reward. That's actually huge. So, Flooded Strand, fetch. We will get a Plains. Then I can play out Bauble. Yes. Play out Bauble. I think I'm just going to sack Bauble for a draw. Generally, you save Bauble to put Faith's Rewards back in your deck. I think sacking this the first time just to draw is better. I think. Not 100% on this. Second Faith's Reward does make things easier. So float a bunch of white mana. Cast Faith's Reward. So because we have Flooded Strand and Lotus Bloom, we're netting mana every time we do this. And now I can put Faith's Reward on the bottom. Okay, we draw Reshape. So float colorless, crack Flooded Strand, get an island, cycle for blue, float blue, pay double blue, sack Chromatic Star, which draws us a card. We get a... I mean, because of the way that I've tapped, I have to get a Lotus Bloom here, but if we reshape again, we really want a Zuran Orb, because then we can start recycling literally all of our mana. Okay. So now we go white, black, Faith's Reward, cycle for blue. I definitely want that in the grave, because I want to draw more cards, of course. We're going to get 6 mana when we get stuff back, so... Playing out more eggs and cycling them pre-Faith's Reward seems better. Opponent fetches a Triumph. I think they just want to F6. I'm definitely going to stumble, and I may time out one comboing here. Simply because I don't know exactly the most optimal way to do this combo, but... Okay. So cycle all of these. Then we Faith's Reward. Get them all back. Okay, fetch with Flooded Strand. Oh, I should have baubled to put Faith's Reward back in the deck before I shuffled. That's actually something I should be doing, and I did not. So now I have quite a bit of mana. I'm going to put Faith's Reward back in the deck. And I think with all of these redraws and one open mana, it's safe to play Citadel now. So play Citadel. Sack for blue. Play this. Play this. There's a Faith's Reward on top. Crud. Because I drew the Faith's Reward. I could have stacked up the stars and then cast Faith's Reward off the top. And maybe I should have done that. Hopefully it doesn't matter too much. This I can just cast off the top of my deck. We will sack a star. We will go and get a Lotus Bloom because that gives us the mana that we need. We can go quite low on permanence, I'm pretty sure. Safely. Okay, there's a Faith's Reward, which I can pay life to get all this stuff back. I think that's fine. Okay. Okay, so now we'll go white, blue, black. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we need to play a couple cards out of hand. We can play Teferi just to be extra safe. I have a Faith's Reward in hand. So we'll play another Bauble, put our other Faith's Reward back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I can just have Citadel sack itself. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Each opponent loses 10 life. Then we can Faith's Reward, get everything back, and just do it again. I should be floating mana, like, in case my opponent is going to interact. Well, they can't, because we have Teferi, so I guess that's not that big of a deal, but... Okay. That felt a lot easier than a lot of the other combo versions of eggs that we've played in the past. That win was a lot easier for me to parse and deal with. So this might not be so bad in terms of like how much effort it's going to be to win. Now, versus a deck playing Academy Manufacturer, I want to see if I can find a list really quick. Okay, there are no recent lists playing that card. I think we do want Leyline, and there's a distinct chance we want Prismatic Ending because we're going to need to hit whatever our opponent's hate is. And I may actually want the other Teferi as well. Now, sideboarding in this deck is particularly difficult for me, because it's like, what the heck do you take out, you know? If we're bringing in 5 cards, Faith's Reward, Citadel, Reshape, Lotus Bloom, those are all things that must remain in the deck. So I'm guessing we cut like some number of Talisman and Serum Visions to make this happen. And Talisman is actually somewhat important because casting it off of Citadel matters. Serum Visions is important because it helps you set up. Reshape just grabs whatever you need out of the deck. I'm probably over sideboarding quite tremendously, but Mind Stone I think is a little bit better because it can sack itself. I really don't know how to sideboard with this deck, so apologies, Mixim, if I'm blowing it. Okay. This hand doesn't have Leyline. It only has 1 land. That land is not blue, so we'd have to sack an egg just to cast the Serum Visions. And Leylines being in our deck does make it harder to combo, so I think I'm going to mulligan. No lands. Mulliganing in this combo deck seems really bad. Maybe I should have kept the 7. Alright, we're going to keep this. I'm going to put back Mind Stone and 1 Chromatic Sphere. There's some notion that maybe perhaps I should have kept the opening 7 even without Leyline, because if my opponent just like thought seizes immediately and we get wrecked, like we can go to game 3 and they're not going to know we have Leyline. Okay, this doesn't target, so we still take damage from it entering the battlefield. Okay, Ghost Quarter is somewhat good. I'm going to play out Chromatic Star over Sphere. Anytime I'm playing out eggs that I want to sit on the board, Star is more important because Star draws you a card whenever it goes to the graveyard for any reason. Chromatic Sphere goes to the draws you a card as part of the resolution of its mana ability, and those are quite different. Also, if I seem pained at the moment, I got some sudden stomach pain. Presumably he's going to name Bolas Citadel. We have Teferi, we can bounce this. We have Prismatic Ending, we can deal with it. So that's not too big of a concern. And as long as we're not under immediate pressure, just playing out artifacts is good enough. So we'll play out a Chromatic Sphere. We'll play out a Chromatic Star. There's definitely no reason we should ever be Ghost Quartering Saga, I don't think. Unless the token is going to be, like, lethal next turn or something. Okay, opponent plays a Verdant Catacombs. They fetch with Verdant Catacombs. They play a Stomping Ground untapped. And then they hit us for once. This is, like, Jund food tokens, it looks like. We draw another Chromatic Star, and we're still not under really any pressure. We'll be under a lot more post-Saga. But we can still keep playing these out. The fun thing about Chromatic Star and Sphere is you cannot Pithing Needle them. They are considered mana abilities. When I play Tron, a lot of people do try and do that. And without much success. Because you can still activate their abilities, even if, you know, they're Pithing Needled. So, opponent probably, I think, is going to fetch a Shadow Spear and just try and be as aggro as possible. The other option is, like, if they have Springleaf Drum, they might get Springleaf Drum to try and play out more cards from their hand. I like to think that the Leyline is probably holding off 1 or 2 Thoughtseize. Okay, Witch's Oven means that they can actually recycle these constructs, make them bigger. They can, of course, just, you know, cat food combo. Opponent's going to attack us for 5. They could sack this construct to make that, like, 7, but... Okay, we get a Zuran Orb. Now, Zuran Orb is good. I gotta take a break. My stomach is... There's havoc in my stomach right now. Hang on. Okay, my apologies for the interruption. That went from tropical depression to category 5 in about the length of time it took me to take 2 steps on the stairs up. So, let's get back to it here. Okay, so what we need to do is... We have to hit Faith's Reward. Like, 100% we have to hit Faith's Reward. And we need to combo off, if at all possible, because otherwise we're going to be very dead very fast. So, we are going to Ghost Quarter ourselves. Preemptively thin our deck a little bit. Filter into blue. Reshape a star. Draw a card. get a Lotus Bloom, play a Ghost Quarter ourselves, get a Plains, float all blue mana, reshape again. We've got to draw a Faith's Reward in like the next 2 draws. Okay, there's a Teferi I can play. Get another Lotus Bloom. We are at 5 mana. Final draw, I think. Faith's Reward? Okay, Serum Visions. That's 1 more draw, because we still have enough mana. Faith's Reward. Okay. In that regard, we are probably screwed now. And I think I'm going to need the clock to potentially win. Yeah, okay. I'm going to concede because I'm going to need the clock in order to win round 3. I don't know that we're going to change the board. I think our board is fine. It's possible that I want Serum Visions here. I think I did overboard. I just don't know. Well, we're going to need Prismatic Ending to potentially hit a Pithing Needle or something, so I would like to play first. This hand is good. It's no Leyline, but I think it's fine. We are going to keep. Hopefully Leyline doesn't mess us up too much. Or the lack of Leyline, I should say. Opponent did mulligan to 6. They kept the 6. So we are going to lead on Saga. Play out Sphere. And then suspend Bloom. The good news is, if there is no hand disruption from the opponent, we can basically play out our whole hand with the exception of Citadel next turn. And then just have it sitting on board, which would be great. Okay. Opponent plays their own Saga to start. That means no hand hate to lead on anyway. Okay, and they play a Witch's Oven. We untap. Lotus Bloom ticking down. Okay. We draw Ghost Quarter. Saga ticks up to 2. Play a Ghost Quarter. Play a Mind Stone. Play a Bauble. Pass the turn. And if Lotus Bloom comes off Suspend next turn, we can play out Citadel. So Saga ticks up to 2. Opponent plays a Wooded Foothills. They fetch with Wooded Foothills. They get an Overgrown Tomb. And they play a Birds. Okay. We untap. Lotus Bloom ticks down. We draw Flooded Strand. Well, we know we're not playing anything else this turn, so let's go ahead and make a construct. And then let's tutor up. I think we just need a star. Like, we just need more redraws, effectively, so that's what I'm going to go for. We're going to play a Hallowed Fountain tapped and pass the turn. And we will be off to the races next turn, provided that our opponent does not have instant speed artifact destruction. So Saga taking up to 3. Opponent's probably going to Pithing Needle something. I really hope I don't time out. That would be very unfortunate after everything that's happened. Opponent did not float mana with it and did not make a construct, so they're just going to lose it after the chapter completion. They play a Verdant Catacombs. They crack Verdant Catacombs. This may mean that they have to tap out here for something, rather than use like floating Urza Saga mana. I am auto-yielded, which I wouldn't be if I was... Whenever a player sacrifices a permanent, Mayhem Devil deals 1 damage to any target. Interesting. So every time I sack an egg, I'm going to lose 1 life. That doesn't sound fun for me. Okay, we get Faith's Reward. Well, play Flooded Strand. Crack it. We're going to have to always yield to that and just realize that that's a soft time limit on what we're doing here. Get an island. Triple black. Float mana like this. Play Citadel. Okay. Zuran Orb is technically like life positive. So we just have to not... Okay. Teferi deals with Mayhem Devil. So we can actually combo off. It also draws us through this Flooded Strand, which is nice. Okay. Opponent does sack, so we do not lose... we do not draw a card off Teferi. So we are going to Ghost Quarter ourselves. Get a island. We have 1 2 mana available right now. So cycle Bauble. I think it's technically correct to play this and lose the life. Not a big fan. Doesn't really matter which one we keep, I don't think. We are going to go all the way to 1 life. I'm actually just about to the point that I can just attack with the Construct token and win. So let's Zuran Orb our lands away to gain life. Then we can Reshape, sacking a star, drawing another Reshape, skipping over Prismatic Ending, get a Lotus Bloom. Sack for blue. Sack for blue. Sack for white. Sack for blue. Draw a card. Pay the life. Oh, free Lotus Bloom. If you have Bolas Citadel and you Lotus Bloom, it's free because it has no mana cost. Okay, so now we Reshape, paying blue, blue, sack this star, draw ending, go get another Lotus Bloom, and then we'll do sack Bauble to draw, float white, float blue, Faith's Reward, get it all back. We would not like to pay 2 life for Hallowed Fountain. Keeping either one of the Bolas Citadels is fine. We will sack to put a Faith's Reward back in the deck. Then we have a Faith's Reward on top of the deck, and we'll have plenty of mana after the fact, so we're just going to attack here. No sense in like Prismatic Ending and trying to loop a couple more times. There's just more opportunity for me to flub it. So attacking with a Construct token is a valid win condition, but I did a lot better in that round than I normally do playing eggs, I can tell you that. So this deck is showing some promise already, and I will see you guys in the next round. Alright, welcome to round 2. We do want to play first. This hand seems pretty decent, so we will be keeping. I'm hoping the recording's not messed up. I've had to do a few like janky things as I was trying to record this. I flubbed up the opening twice, so I had to re-record the opening a couple of times, and then of course there was my guts exploding apparently. So it looks like we are against Amulet Titan, which I'm not certain is a good matchup because they generally just win all at once. But we're gonna play out a whole bunch of stars. And, I mean, we've been pretty consistently comboing, like, turn 4. Now, that's 2 turns too slow against Amulet Titan. Okay. We untap. We draw an island. Do we think it'll be safe for 1 more turn? I'm gonna go with probably. And next turn, it should be a pretty safe attempt at a combo here. Okay, opponent plays a Dryad, they can play an extra land. Okay, they play Castle Garenbrig, they play a Zusa. If they have any more lands, they can play them. Okay. Opponent passes to us. We draw a Mind Stone. So, let's go for it. Sack Flooded Strand, because they could definitely kill us, whatever they're holding, next turn. Like 100%. So let's go ahead and sack Star, draw a card, it's a sphere, we will get a Lotus Bloom, then we can cycle, Cycle. Serum Visions can potentially draw us the last card we need. We need a face reward. Bottom. Oh my gosh, look at how, like, I dug so deep and we still didn't find it. So then we'll do Talisman, Mind Stone, Sphere, Suspend Bloom. That really sucks, but there's a really good chance we're just dead. 100% chance we're dead. Because I'm pretty sure even without tapping, or even without an amulet, they can just get Valakut. Maybe we did have an extra turn because of the lack of amulet. That's 12, 13, 14, 15 damage. Okay, well, we get a couple of redraws to try. The problem is without a Lotus Bloom on the battlefield, we are... Oh, never mind. They had an extra land. Okay, we were dead. I comboed at the right time. That wasn't a punt. Leyline doesn't help us. Ensnaring Bridge doesn't help us either, because our opponent is playing Besieju. I think we do want Prismatic Ending and Teferi, though. Silence doesn't help because of Besieju. I think we're still in the same boat of, like, dropping some number of talismans and running it back. That seems like the least important card in the deck, although I'm sure the role it fulfills is still important. I do want to play first. Alright, we will keep. If my opponent leads on a amulet, I am going to Prismatic Ending it right away. That is our best bet at slowing them down. Okay, opponent leads on a Valakut. We draw a Zuran Orb. Urza Saga gains its second ability. So we play an island. We play a Mind Stone. We play a Sphere. I don't think there's a reason to play out Zuran Orb. Technically, I can sack Saga to gain 2 life and still get its 3rd chapter ability. So I guess playing it out gives me 2 extra life. Okay. Relic is an annoyance. See what we draw. Reshape. Let's go ahead and make a construct. Sack Saga. Pretty sure we just get a star again. We have no more mana, I used it all. But having a 6/6 is nice. I could have technically made an attempt at the combo, but I don't think it was a good idea there. Okay, we draw Ghost Quarter. Play out a Sphere. Go to combat. Attack our opponent for 7. And then sack Sphere for white. Prismatic Ending. Okay. Opponent makes us exile Sphere. They exile all graves and draw. We've already played a land this turn. Okay. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent does have an amulet. That's really scary, actually, because a single Explore effect will get them to Titan mana, and they'll have a hasted Titan. Okay. Simic Growth Chamber. Azusa. Yep, this is going to be a Titan. There's nothing I could have done about this Prismatic Ending not being an instant. I don't think this matchup is going to be all that common, but it's possible we would want to play March of Otherworldly Light, although in that scenario it requires 2 mana to exile a 1-drop, whereas Prismatic Ending is much more efficient. I think Prismatic Ending's probably still fine. Okay, opponent Summoner's Pact. Get a Primeval Titan. So they should be able to give it haste, but because they don't have double amulet, it's not. It shouldn't be lethal, even like especially because we have Zuran Orb. Okay, opponent clones Valakut, untaps both, floats mana, probably picks up Vesuva? If they have Dryad, then yeah. They have one more land play, but them playing a land does not Lightning Bolt, because they don't control 5 other mountains. It would only control 4 other mountains, even though Valakut itself is a mountain. Okay, they play Talaria West, they untap it, and then they pass. Okay, so we have to combo off with what we have. That's what I'm seeing. So, play Saga. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. We can get up to 5 with Reshape. So, cycle for blue. We Serum Visions first. We draw Lotus Bloom, which is not great. Put Plains Mind Stone to the bottom. Blue. Cycle for blue. Draw a card. Another Lotus Bloom. It's really not what we want to be seeing here. Sac Star. We draw Plains. Get a Lotus Bloom. And looks like we're dead. I guess I should have left Mind Stone up, but opponent clones Valakut next turn and gets 2 more lands and we just die. Because then they can replay like 6 lands, and there's just nothing I can do here. So I think I could have gotten 1 card deeper than I did, but it still wasn't a Faith's Reward, so that is unfortunate. Amulet Titan seems like a tough matchup, but I will see you guys in round 3. Alright, welcome to round 3, everybody. This hand actually seems pretty good, so I'm going to keep. No idea what I'm up against here. Infect. That seems like we just lose. Because we can't even win prior to Lotus Blooms coming off Suspend. So, like, unless my opponent is holding literally all of their 1/1 Infect creatures or just lands, which, if they kept 7, they didn't. Like, that's not the case. Odds are we're just dead right here. His opponent's going to go Scale Up and then Mutagenic and Groundswell or something. Okay, Might of Old Kroza. They're going to hit us for 6. We have 6 Infect counters. 6 Poison counters. I can Reshape here, but that gets me from 2 to 3. Like, it's not even like I can attempt a mini combo or something like that. So, pass the turn. You know, I've not seen an Infect deck in Modern for quite some time now, and I suspect it's because of all of the absolutely super powerful, like, free interaction. Like, you know, when you have a free Swords to Plowshares, a free Pyrotechnics, you know. Alright, we're dead. The worst part about this is, Ensnaring Bridge does nothing against Infect. So I guess we bring in the Prismatic Endings over some Talismans. Run it back. I mean, like, I guess, I don't think this is good, but I could even bring in, like, Silence. And because I'm on the play, silence my opponent on their first turn so they can't play a creature. And that would slow them down by a turn, but I don't think that would be fast enough. Alright. I mean, this hand is too slow. Well, I mean, we have white mana, we have Prismatic Ending, we have Citadel. I think I put back Saga, actually. Suspend Bloom, play Flooded Strand, pass the turn. We kind of have to hope that our opponent is going all in on one creature early. Like, I was hoping to see the Glistener Elf start again. We get a Hallowed Fountain. We draw a Chromatic Sphere, so play it. Pass the turn. Okay, opponent cracks Verdant Catacombs. Shocks an Overgrown Tomb. This is green-black, so this is a Plague Stinger. Okay. Well, the good news is we can Prismatic Ending that. The bad news is I do have to give up this sphere to do it. Okay. Pass the turn. If we draw an untapped land, we can cast Citadel, and that might just give us what we need to win. Another Plague Stinger, and an Ignoble Hierarch. Okay. Well, let's hope to draw untapped mana. That works. Or should, hopefully. I think I can Faith's Reward first for 1 extra mana here. Yeah, so let's get an island. Float mana. Ghost Quarter ourself. Get an island. Float mana. Lotus Bloom. Faith's Reward. Get all that back. Okay. Fetch. Island. Triple black. Citadel. Cast Talisman. Cast Teferi. Second Citadel, not really what you want to see here. So let's go ahead and nuke an island. Get a plains. Okay, play Star. Play Serum Visions. Flooded Strand to the bottom. Conjurer's Bauble to the top. Play Conjurer's Bauble. Play Zuran Orb. Bounce here. We can draw Ending. Okay, Free Bloom is good. Okay, I actually think we can win now. So we can float mana. I'm not going to sack any of the stuff that draws us cards. We can then cast this off the top. Play Zuran Orb. Let's go ahead and reshape. Sack Star. Draw Serum Visions. Get another Lotus Bloom. Okay. Serum Visions. Oh, I need to Bauble and put Faith's Reward back in the deck. That is something I always forget to do when I'm playing Eggs, and it's actually quite important. Fetch to shuffle. Ghost Quarter ourself to shuffle. And our last island. There's a Faith's Reward. Perfect. Sack all our mana. Faith's Reward. There's another one immediately underneath it. We will pay the 2 life. We do not have enough non-land permanents. Go ahead and just cast this. Play this out. Cast Serum Visions. We'll be able to draw that. Okay. Pay life. Pay life. Pay life. Pay life. And because I'm holding the Faith's Reward, now we can just do this. 1, yes, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, we get to draw some cards. Each opponent loses 10 life. Faith's Reward, get it all back. Do it again. Yeah, Bolas' Citadel is one of the more broken effects. I mean, people used to try and break, what was it, Recycle and Null Profusion. And, you know, for the same amount of mana, they print Null Profusion that lets you cast those spells, you know, using your life total. It's really good. So we did get a win against Infect. I don't think that's the norm. I don't think that, you know, that we should expect that to happen. I'm going to run it back. I don't think we can adjust any better than this. But that does show you the power of Bolas' Citadel for sure. This hand is too slow. We have 0 interaction. We have 0 ramp. So we're going to mulligan that. This hand also really does nothing. I'm kind of hoping for Prismatic Ending. I don't know that I should, like, mulligan this hand. So my opponent mulligans to 6 and then keeps. I think I'm going to 5. Alright, sure. We gotta put back Bolas' Citadel, and I think Conjurer's Bauble. I don't think we're going to be fast enough. We are definitely not going to be fast enough. Okay, pass the turn. Okay, opponent attacks for 1. Pendelhavens. Okay, that's kind of a good sign. We draw Citadel. Saga ticks up to 2. Play another Saga. Play Talisman of Dominance. Play Chromatic Star. So we're at 3 and can ritual to 4. And if we draw land, get to 5. So, not really the greatest situation here. Opponent fetches Overgrown Tomb. They may have to Pendelhaven first. Okay, they have Scale Up. So we are +2 from Dead, which is just about every card in Infect's deck. And a Vine's Vestwood. Well, we tried. And by we tried, I want to say we were doomed from the start. Because that's just how Infect works. So, alright, I'll see you guys in round 4. Okay, we are on the play for round 4. We are against a Lurrus deck of some sort. If this is Hammer, it's going to be a very similar game to Infect. And if it's not, then we might stand a chance. I'm going to keep this hand. Okay. I'm going to start by shocking Hallowed Fountain. I want to keep Flooded Strand for a possible combo turn, if possible. Play Chromatic Star, suspend 2 blooms. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent untaps. Opponent starts by sacking Marsh Flats for Hallowed Fountain, so this does in fact look like Hammer. Springleaf Drum. Okay. Well, it's not the turn 2 kill hand. We draw a Reshape, which is going to be somewhat useful. We'll play Saga. Play Mind Stone. Pass the turn. And really, we just a few draws and a Faith's Reward away from winning, but I feel like our opponent's going to be a lot closer than that. Opponent plays an Urza Saga. Sigarda's Aid. They might be relying on the tutor off up. Now, why would you play out Hammer if you played Sigarda's Aid? That I don't get. Play out Flooded Strand. Play out Chromatic Star. Pass the turn. Okay. Opponent plays an Ornithopter. I think we are going to fetch and thin the deck prior to attempting to combo, which we will have to do next turn. Okay. Opponent passes. Fetch with Flooded Strand. Get an island. Oh, I meant to make a token! Oh, that's such a huge mistake. I'm so sorry. Okay, well, Lotus Bloom coming off Suspend. Other Lotus Bloom coming off Suspend. We definitely should not make a token now. Yeah, not making a token on my opponent's end step is such a massive punt because there's a possibility that I could draw enough artifacts, put them onto the battlefield, that I could swing lethal, and possibly even with like a Teferi. I don't think that's likely, but I removed the possibility from, you know, happening when I messed up. So we're just going to float mana, and we are going to get a Chromatic Star. So blue, filter colorless into blue, draw a card. Okay, Serum Visions. We will reshape, sacking a star. We draw a Ghost Quarter. Get another bloom. It's possible I should have gotten another Chromatic Star there, but okay. Serum Visions. Okay, Serum Visions to the bottom, Faith's Reward on top. Float a bunch of white mana. Cycle for white. We draw Faith's Reward. Cycle Mind Stone. Play a Ghost Quarter. Ghost Quarter ourself. Get an island. Float white. Float blue. Faith's Reward. Get all of that back. I think my opponent just decided not to kill us because they were worried about some interaction. I think my opponent had all the cards to kill us a lot faster than they did. They may have been confused about what we were playing. Okay, we don't have a Bauble, so we can't put back Faith's Reward, at least not yet. So cycle Mind Stone. Cycle Star. Cycle Star. Okay. Serum Visions. Bottom. Bottom. Cycle Star. And that's a fizzle. So this is always a possibility when you're playing eggs. I think the way that I could have helped mitigate this was by reshaping for a another Chromatic Star rather than another Lotus Bloom. But, and, you know, making a token would have helped. Okay, we're going to go squirter this Saga so they can't get a second token. I'm pretty sure we're dead. Okay, opponent plays a Marsh Flats. They fetch. Okay, well, they had the Pure Steel Paladin anyway. I mean, one hammer's not lethal, but there's a really good chance they have another. If not, there's no real single draw, except maybe Citadel, that could get us out of this. But it would have to be Citadel with, like, Zuran Orb underneath it. Yeah, that's not what I asked for. Had I had a token, I could have blocked there. We will play out another Saga. I can make a token to block. Because as long as they don't have a second hammer or another equipment they can flash in to like make Pure Steel Paladin or Ornithopter lethal, never mind. I think our opponent actually had us way dead way sooner. I don't think we actually stood a chance there. I think my opponent was like just trying to figure out what was going on, and it's possible that they misplayed. So we'll bring in the other Teferi, we'll bring in the Prismatic Endings, we'll cut some Talismans. I should be cutting the blue-black Talismans before I cut the blue-white ones. So that is not something I called out previously when I was sideboarding, so if you're doing that, I think keeping the blue-white one just to be able to face reward is probably more important than having access to the black mana at Citadel. Because the only way you're really ever casting Citadel is off of a Lotus Bloom. I also should be aware that, like, you know, if you can reshape on turn 2 and get a Lotus Bloom and untap, you can cast Citadel on turn 3. It's a slow hand, but I think we're going to keep. So, start Saga, play Sphere, pass the turn. Opponent plays a Plains and a Springleaf Drum and a Memnite and a Pithing Needle. I'm interested to see what they name Urza's Saga. Okay, well, that's fine. We will not be activating Saga anytime soon. Okay, pass the turn. I mean, odds are this is an incidental good card for them to have, rather than... Yeah, I was going to say, it doesn't look like they're going to go for the combo win. Yeah, they get the reality chip. They kept a slower hand, and now they're going to have to try and dig their way out. I mean, there's always the chance that they just top deck, like, Pure Steel and, you know, something to kill us with immediately after. So we get a Chromatic Star. The problem is I have no Lotus Blooms, and I haven't seen a Reshape yet. Now, I have 3 draws to try and find one. Question is it worth it? I don't think my opponent can kill me next turn, unless they're holding Sigarda's Aid Hammer, at which point the only reason they wouldn't have gone for it last turn is because they couldn't hammer Ink Moth. They would have had to hammer Memnite, and that would have been 2 swings and a possibility for us to interact. I think I'm going to pass. Like, I could just be dead. There's a distinct possibility that I am dead. But, okay, another Plains. Okay, opponent goes to combat. They attack us for 1. No blocks. And then they pass. They're probably going to put Reality Chip into play. Okay. Float mana for Saga. Saga is going to get us another Chromatic Star. I think we got to go for it at this point. I don't know. Like, if I just keep waiting, my opponent is going to win. And they probably have a hammer in hand, or multiple hammers in hand. They're just looking for a way to equip it. And if they find one, we die instantly. Because otherwise, you would almost always Stoneforge for hammer, especially if you have an Ink Moth on board. It tells me they're holding hammer, and they're looking for Sigarda's aid, or Pure Steel. So we're gonna try and draw a Reshape, I guess. There's a Reshape. Reshape Star. Go get a Lotus Bloom. Ghost Quarter ourself. Get a Plains. Float White. Faith's Reward. Get it all back. Saga triggered ability. Okay, so Bauble Faith's Reward back in. Play out a star. Ghost Quarter Saga. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. We can play out this other sphere. Opponent is going to put an equipment into play. It's the reality chip. Float blue, float blue, float blue, float blue, float blue. Sack for white. Play out a Bauble. Faith's Reward. Get everything back. Bauble Faith's Reward back into the deck. We find a Reshape. Float off of Saga. Get a blue source. A filter. Colorless into blue. Float a bunch of... Actually, let's go ahead and Reshape. Sack Chromatic Star. Get a Lotus Bloom. Sack for blue. Reshape again. Sack Chromatic Star. Let's go get another Lotus Bloom. Sack for blue. Sack for blue. Getting kind of desperate. Float white. Float white. Play a Mind Stone. Sack Mind Stone. Sack Bauble. Oh, okay. Faith's Reward. Whoo! That was close. Okay. Float for colorless. Ghost Quarter ourself. Bauble Faith's Reward. Should have done that first, but you know how it is. You know how Kano is. Cycle for blue. Blue. Reshape. Sack Chromatic Star. We draw Citadel. Perfect. Get a Zuran Orb. Triple black. Triple black. Play Citadel. Cast Serum Visions. Ending to the bottom. Teferi to the top. Play Teferi. Play Zuran Orb. Play Star. Okay. Bounce. Pithing Needle. Doesn't really matter. Okay. Float mana. Cycle for blue. Cycle for white. Cycle for white, I guess. There's a Faith's Reward. Okay. Sack Mind Stone. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? We still have 3 more in the deck, so our odds of drawing one is relatively high. We just have to find it. Okay, so let's Serum Visions. Top, bottom. Serum Visions. Bottom, top. Serum Visions. Bottom, top. Okay, it's been salvaged. Faith's Reward. I should have sacked all my lands first. It's not that big of a deal. There's one immediately on top, so we can just do this. Yes, sacrifice to its own ability. I need to keep the Lotus Blooms because I'm going to cast the one out of hand. Okay, opponent loses a bunch of life. Float white. Faith's Reward. Had to be careful not to overdraw. Get it back. Do it again. Okay. And we kill our opponent. Alright. Run it back. Okay. I will keep this. It's kind of fragile, but we can interact early, potentially, with Prismatic Ending, provided our opponent does not, like, have an instant speed way to set up their combo. Like, if they just play out a bunch of creatures and then just Sigarda's Aid, hammer, hammer, like, there's nothing we can do about it, but... Okay. Opponent starts land, Springleaf Drum. They got 4 cards in hand. I could Prismatic Ending the Springleaf Drum. They might be relying on it for mana, considering that they did mulligan to 6. That might be a little bit aggressive. It's probably better saved for like an actual combo piece. And we're not going to die instantly next turn, because they didn't play a creature, so... We would much rather be hitting like a Sigarda's Aid or a Colossus Hammer. Okay, opponent plays a Saga. They play an Esper Sentinel. They play a Damping Sphere. Alright. We draw a Saga. We must Prismatic Ending Damping Sphere. We cannot pay for Esper Sentinel. So we need to draw a bunch of eggs next turn, or before our opponent can kill us anyway. Let's hope that was their only Damping Sphere. Inkmoth is not what I want to see. I can hold up Ghost Quarter to discourage or dissuade an Inkmoth. Lotus Bloom down to 1. Okay, we do draw a egg. Play Ghost Quarter. Play Bauble. I am going to pay. I don't want my opponent drawing any extra cards right now if I can avoid it. The problem is I only have... Wow, okay. I don't know that that's what you should have Spell Pierced, opponent. I think you had higher priority targets to Spell Pierce. Okay, opponent's going to make a Construct. I think they're on the Construct beatdown plan. So there's a small chance we'll actually be able to win this. Okay. Saga ticks up to 3. They make another Construct. They tutor up something. Relic. Okay, Relic sucks. They play another Saga. I'm not going to Ghost Quarter that. I'm also not sure that we can win in time here. Because us not having a single draw on board. Like, we can cast Faith's Reward to make more mana, and then what does that do? Like, nothing. We're not advancing our game plan literally at all. But, I mean, that was the concern with the hand we kept. Okay, we draw Teferi. Okay, Teferi, we can bounce an artifact token to stay alive. Is that good? No, I don't think so. Okay, we draw an egg. Unfortunately, I would have much rather bounced that relic, but like we bounce the relic, we die, or because our opponent just animates Inkmoth Nexus and swings 13. Like they literally would have us dead on board if we did not take this play. Okay, Saga ticks up. They play another Saga. Pithing Needle. I mean, they can Pithing Needle Teferi. That just means they can't do anything on our turn as long as they don't kill him. I guess maybe I was supposed to know to bring in Pithing Needle in this matchup. I don't know that... Because, like, Pithing Needle, I guess, would have made sense because we can fetch it off Saga, we could name Hammer with it, and I guess we could name Relic with it, too. Okay. Opponent makes a Construct. They're going to kill Teferi. They're going to hit us for 6. We have no way to clear this Construct token, because they can use Springleaf Drum mana to activate Relic, which means our combo is kind of moot at this point. So, play a Saga. I mean, we'll redraw. Opponent can have an extra card here, because if we don't win this turn somehow, we're just going to die. Sack for blue. Have, like, double Faith's Reward. I don't think casting... I don't have enough mana to double Faith's Reward, so... whatever we were supposed to draw, I don't think this is it. Play a Mind Stone. Sack the Mind Stone. Ghost Quarter ourselves. Like, maybe my opponent does not see the Faith's Reward line. Whatever that means. They just crack Relic and we lose. Yep. I am and remain of the firm opinion that if you... So, Wizards of the Coast repeatedly claims that land destruction is not a fun thing. It's not a fun thing to play against. It's not a fun thing to have in the game. You know, it's not fun. It's not good for the health of the game. But Wizards keeps posting, or keeps creating, lands that can win the game on their own. Like, you cannot create a threat that can be played early in the land drop slot unless you are willing to print answers for the threat. So if you want to print lands that can win the game, you need to print land destruction that is early enough to be relevant to deal with those lands. And if you don't want to print land destruction, stop printing lands like that. It's very simple. This hand's not really that great. We don't have any mana. This hand is actually a lot better. I'm going to keep this. I'd like to keep Serum Visions, but, well, yeah, let's put back Serum Visions. Suspend Lotus Bloom, play Flooded Strand, pass the turn. Really, the game plan here is to cast Bolas Citadel. But yeah, like, along the land line, that started with, like... Oh, great, this is Belcher, which is just us, but deterministic. Okay. Fetch for Hallowed Fountain. We untap, Lotus Bloom ticks down to 2. But, like, first there was Valakut, and then there was Field of the Dead. And, like, now there's Saga. And Saga is actually not that difficult to hate out because of, like, Blood Moon, Alpine Moon, Besiege, like, that kind of stuff, right? But it's too strong, in my opinion. Of course, there's, like, 5 or 6 cards I want to be banned out of the Modern format. Although that's apparently an unpopular opinion, according to all of the people that have been watching me. You know, people, every time the ban list discussion has come up on my channel, which is one reason why I've not really talked about it, and I'm not going to talk about it here that much, is every time I voice my opinion about what I think should be banned, everyone disagrees with me. I think mainly for the reason that I want 7 cards banned and everybody wants something different for the Modern format. Like, there are people who think cards that definitely should not be unbanned should be unbanned, and so on and so forth. But, you know, I don't think anybody can agree. It's interesting, though. I think generally a lot of people actually want the format to change. So opponent completely ruins our day by casting Reforge the Soul here. Yeah. So if they go for the Reforge hand, they have a deterministic win. Because they... Recross the Paths literally acts as a doomsday for them. So they literally just stack, you know, the 7-card hand they need to win. And it generally is like Shatter Skull Smashing, Pact of the Titan, Infernal Plunge, Ritual, Ironcrag Feet, then kill you with Belcher. Yep. Cool. Okay. Teferi in. Leyline doesn't help because they have a... they're going to play Force and stuff like that. I'm 90% sure. I can try and disrupt them with Silence, actually. Okay, so we cut the Talisman of Dominance. Like 1 Serum Visions and a Talisman. Try it like this. Bring in the Silences and the other Teferi. Teferi stops them from miracle killing us with Reforge as long as it's on the battlefield. I would like to play first. We don't have any of the interaction I just boarded in, and this hand isn't particularly fast, so I'm going to mulligan. This hand works-ish, so I think I'm going to try it. Put back Conjurer's Bauble. Play Ghost Quarter, play Sphere, pass the turn. I'd like to see them go for the Recross the Paths kill again. Because in response to Ironcrag Feet, we could silence them. I forgot to suspend 2 Lotus Blooms, so I'm going to look like an idiot. But I think that's acceptable. I got caught up in my talking. And if they go for the iron, like the whole... Oh no, I would have to silence either after drawing it off the top or in response to them revealing for the Miracle trigger. Okay. Well, that didn't work. I was hoping to draw a land and play Teferi. Because with Teferi on board, they can't Miracle. Okay. If it's a second ritual, I will silence. I think I have to. Because it looks like they're setting up for just cast Belcher. Okay. Opponent plays a tap land. We untap. Bloom's ticking down. Draw Reshape. There's a really good chance I'm going to have to Ghost Quarter myself here. Okay. Char Belcher. I forgot to bring in Pithing Needle. Again. I promise that sometimes I think I'm good at this game.
You know, I've been taking breaks, getting up, walking around in between rounds, except for this last one, and I have to tell you that playing this deck absolutely just fries my brain. And this is the version that I was saying is like, oh yeah, no, it's actually easier to pilot. So float triple blue, pay a blue, filter into white, play Teferi, bounce Belcher, bias a turn, play a sphere, pass the turn. Okay, opponent gonna Manamorphose. Could have silenced in response to that to stop them from playing a Belcher. Interesting that they filtered into double green. Not sure why. Yeah. Oh. That's probably game. Had I top decked a Faith's Reward there, it actually would have been pretty good. Oh, I wouldn't have had enough mana to play it. Never mind. Silence my opponent. Okay, we untap. Teferi Silence is actually just a 1-mana Time Walk. It's really good. I've actually played it in some extra turns decks out of the sideboard versus decks that tend to play at sorcery speed. It's really good in that scenario. Like I play one in the main in a blue-white Time Warps deck and then leave 3 Silences in the sideboard. Because they're like good against control. Just on their own. But I have no artifacts to sack. So I cannot like reshape or do anything interesting. So we're just dead to a ritual or an untapped land. So, like, how would we have gotten out of that? I don't think we could have, but had we drawn, like, a Chromatic Star, I could have played it, I could have filtered for double blue, I could have reshaped getting a Lotus Bloom, and then possibly I could have drawn, like, another... I could have drawn another Chromatic Star and then like chained those and then hit a Faith's Reward and had enough mana to cast it or something. But so unfortunately we go 1-4. We had a couple of matches that we won a game that we definitely probably shouldn't have won a game because I think Infect and Hammer are probably a 95% chance to lose every single time. The Belcher deck is just us but faster because they're pure combo. And I didn't sideboard Pithing Needle, and had I done that, I could have like reshaped into Pithing Needle, naming Charbelcher, and like maybe that does something. But at the same time, we did see Force of Vigor out of them, and they wouldn't have just done it on a random Lotus Bloom and Egg. They would have hit Lotus Bloom and Pithing Needle because we would have had a Pithing Needle at that point had I brought it in. I think out of any Eggs decks I've ever seen, this one's probably the best in terms of raw power level. It's easier to grasp. It's a lot stronger than several other lists that I've seen. Saga, I think, is necessary in a deck like this, if not just to give you an alternate win condition, but like we did attack with a token. It's a completely reasonable way to win the game. The fact that it just like gives you mana, can make you a token, and go grab a like an extra egg is just totally fine. In terms of like, do I recommend that you play eggs? No. If not, if you want to win. If you want to play to have fun and playing solitaire is the way that you have fun, then go play solitaire. I mean, you can play eggs in Modern if you want that experience. In terms of like, is it good? I think it's better than it was. I don't necessarily know that the eggs deck is good. I think it's like tier 3. And even this version is not really a version that I would want to play against, simply because it's still a non-deterministic kill. It's way, way more consistent, which is, nice for both sides of the table. It's nice because the person playing the deck and the person playing against the deck kind of understand that if it combos off, there's a really good chance that they're going to lose. And if it did get a deterministic kill, it wouldn't be so miserable to play against because it would be like, okay, the combo's initiated, there's nothing you can do, would you like to concede? Whereas like right now it's like, well, I have to sit around and watch you play for 5-10 minutes, try and figure out, what it is you can draw and whether or not you can win. And then, oh, you didn't? You fizzled? Okay, you pass my turn, I get to do something. It's not a good play pattern. So this is not an archetype I want them to power up. I think there are more interesting decks you can play if you like hard combo. But, you know, Eggs has its fans. Mixum's a fan. He wants to see me play it. He pays me to play it, so I'm going to play it. And I think this is probably the best Eggs deck you can play in Modern. I think the strategy is overall underpowered, just the whole archetype. And I don't recommend that you play it necessarily, but you can. And this is an example of the fact that you can. So Mixum, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for the patron deck request. You're a wonderful human being, and I really, really appreciate all of your support over this entire time. And you should, at the end of this video, see a list of patrons and Twitch subs, all in the patron credits. I did expand it to include Twitch subs. So thank you all so much for watching. You're all wonderful human beings. Please leave a like, drop a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're so inclined. And remember, you can follow me on Twitch, subscribe to me here on YouTube. And if you're feeling particularly generous, you can join my Patreon, which is down in the description below. Links to all of that stuff. Same username everywhere. And if you want to brew decks, you want to talk about Coffers Control, you want to talk about Tron, feel free to join my Discord. Link should also be in the description below. That's the best way to get in contact with me and get in contact with the other people and brewing the deck. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time.